So I think we're ready to kick off, right, Tudor?
Yes, sure. You can start whenever you're ready, Katalin.
Yeah, awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back, everyone, to our monthly Power BI webinar. Today is going to be quite special because we're going to tackle with a topic that I wanted to showcase for quite some time. That would be around Power BI Premium and its automated machine learning capabilities. But also we're going to take a stab at the latest features and the latest upgrades on the previously existing features within Power BI in the September release. And to quickly jump to the point, the first thing I want to showcase is an upgrade to an already existing feature in Power BI, which is the theme feature. As you recall, ever since 2018, you have the possibility to switch a theme for your existing report directly from Power BI desktop. Well, Microsoft design team and the research team spent quite a lot of time recently developing a new set of themes that have more variety. Now you can even add black themes in your reports. And now it uses, I would say, the themes added now follow the best design practices for the visuals. And they have been tested for quite some time to ensure that they really live up to the standards. So for your existing reports, if you open them with Power BI September release, you're going to be able to quickly switch to a couple of really awesome themes. For instance, innovative will switch your report towards automatically towards a dark theme. Obviously, you know, the previous executive themes have been also upgraded, and some of the core features that the upgrades have is more larger, darker, and more readable text. As you have seen, when I switched on the themes, the font has changed significantly, so it's more darker, it's more readable. You have wider line strokes for the line and various other charts. And the backgrounds are on for visuals by default. So quite a significant change here. And please do recall that you have more themes when you expand the more themes, like color blind, safe themes, and so on. But also the theme gallery, which allows you to basically open up the browser and navigate to the theme gallery on the community screen, which allows you to download hundreds of available themes in Power BI built by the community and other partners like us. And those are actually PBIX files, right? So, and also JSON files as well. So for most of the themes that are published here, if you deep dive and open up to view the reports, you'll see an accessible link here there to download the JSON file associated with that theme, which will import all of the color for various charts, backgrounds, and any other designs that are within the chart. You see here this JSON file, for instance. This is something that you need to import, and afterwards it's as easy as clicking here, import a theme. You're gonna need to select the JSON file. In this instance, let's say I select the Gartner theme, which has a different set of fonts and different set of colors, and it just imported the theme and applies the colors. So this was quite straightforward. Another thing that will help you beautify quickly your reports if you're, let's say, you don't have the vision, or you're not yet ready to, let's say, quickly build your reports based on a specific set of guidelines. There's an easy way to kick things off, and I'm going to walk you through two to three various approaches. First of all is using the standard PowerPoint approach. So what we've been usually doing when we want to kick things off quite fast by building a report, we're just going to open a standard PowerPoint file. So a blank PowerPoint file, and we're just going to use, for instance, the standard smart chart, right, in which we can select various types of visuals here, smart art designs like these ones that you can customize and add. In our case, I just added the smart art, and I just configured it to have these 6 styles. And what can be easily done is you can export this particular site as a PNG file. So if you select the type of export, you see here that you have a PNG file, portable network graphics format, and you can just save it to your local machine. And then it's as simple as navigating to the Power BI report page, and just ensure that for your main report page, so click outside of an existing visual, go to the formatting here, click on page background, and just select the PNG file exported from PowerPoint, and you will already have a layout in which you can quickly add a chart with transparent background to fit within these styles here. It's just a way to kick things off quite fast. At the same time, there's this really cool place, and I'm not sure how many of you know about it. It's called the layouts tips on powerbi.tips/layouts. And you would be able to download a quite large set of already built layouts for various reports. For instance, I quickly downloaded the layout Square One, which in fact is a PBIX file, and I'm gonna open it here, in which you have various pages that you can use to create your report. So it's just a matter of placing the visuals in one of these, like metrics on the top, visuals in the mid and bottom area. And then you can leverage and use these images here already within the template to create and link towards bookmarks or hyperlinks outside Power BI. It's an extremely fast way to get things started and not think about how you can properly lay out the charts to be readable. Another really nice tip to get things started when it comes to how to properly structure your visuals within the report page. There's another page that I and myself and the team often use. It's the Frederick Denstrom page, in which you can quickly customize the layout of, how many, depending on the number of visuals that you have, KPIs and charts, you can quickly, increase number of rows, increase the number of columns, quickly, change the background or change the in color, the fill color for the spaces where you're gonna add the charts. And then in the end, it's just a matter of clicking image to download. You save the image as a PNG file. And then you go through the same approach like I showcased earlier in terms of importing it within the page background. And just it's a matter of quickly putting your visuals within those placeholders. So these were just a couple of tips and tricks in terms of the layout. But another cool feature that's not that easy to find, and I have been using it quite extensively for the last couple of weeks. It's the new tooltip feasibility of adding GIF files. So for instance, in many occasions, you might have the need of actually explaining to a client or to a customer what this chart actually is all about. So what's the story behind the chart? And now you have this cool feature of actually adding a question icon here on the top right area of the chart and actually linking it towards dynamic content. You see here that as soon as I hover over that question mark, I can add a small instruction video of how to, use the specific chart or how to properly read the report or any type of information in any form that I wish here. And it's extremely simple. It's just a matter of creating another report page. In this case, I created one named Tooltip. I just added a control here, regardless of which control, just randomly choose any type of visual, just plot it here, add something to its values. So you necessarily need to add something on its axis. And afterwards, you need to go to the formatting option here, go to plot area, and then just select here. In my case, I selected a GIF file, so a graphic file, which plays a particular set of recording here in which I play around with a set of reports. And if I just format this page in the end, this report as being a tooltip, right, in the page information area, I select it as being a tooltip, and then I just go back to the chart, and it's a matter of just going into the formatting area for the chart. I want to activate this question button here. You see here the last option when you're clicking on a visual is the visual header tooltip. You're gonna expand it, and then here you can add a name for the tooltip and select the tooltip text and select the page. So the report tab that actually houses in that particular G file or text file or explanation that you want to appear as soon as you hover that question mark. It's extremely simple, and it has a huge impact specifically for complex charts that you want to explain through a video or a set of steps, and it's quite easy to perform. Another really cool feature that has been added to the September release is the fact that the visualization pane has a couple of improvements. So let's say that in some cases you never want to use specific visuals, or you want to actually declutter the specific pane because you might have strong feelings against specific visual types, or you don't want to see it as an option, or you're using a custom visual version of a visual type and don't want to be mistakenly, by mistake click on a built-in version that you probably will never use. So by clicking on any type of visual here, you have the option to unpin it. And as soon as you unpin it, you'll get a question whether you're sure you want to unpin it. And what that actually does is it just moves that specific visual under this dotted line here, right? So you won't see it in the default list here on the top. You want to keep just the ones that you're going to use in these reports without being forced to always search through the list and see whatever fits the case. So this is one really, I would say, small but powerful feature. And on top of it all, you can always check information about a custom visual that you imported from the marketplace and see the vendor that developed it, the version that you have, whether it's from AppSource, and the name, the standard name for the visual. Now, another cool feature that just has been released in the September release is the custom string format. And if you recall, and you probably know that in Excel, you have the feasibility of actually formatting any cell to a custom format, and that wasn't before feasible in Power BI. But now, for instance, if I'm going within the relationship pane here, within the model pane of Power BI desktop, and I'm just going to go to the email analytics, and I'm just going to, let's take a look at the email analytics first, the email analytics table, and just pick a random field. So let's take history, for instance. You see that it's integer value, so I'm going to move to the model side here. I'm going to choose email analytics. I'm just going to click on history, and I'm going to get this property pane here, right? I'm just going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to have this format drop down. I can click on it. I can click on custom. It's going to take a few seconds to load, and afterwards you see that it will allow me, similar to how Excel works when you add a custom formatting to a cell or a range. You can cherry pick some of the custom, but you can also format it, right? So for instance, I'm just thinking to add a dollar sign before the number, and that's it. And if I go back here to the data, you're going to immediately see that the history here, the history column has already been updated with the custom format that I just added. So the sky's the limit in terms of what you can add there. It works one-to-one to how Excel works in the custom format area. And it will obviously reflect on the visuals as well if you have anything plotting related to this. Another really cool thing that has been added within the September release is something that wasn't previously available. And for some of the charts that had drill through features, for instance, you never knew whether any chart has drill through activated. You always had to right click and see whether drill through is actually working, is added or not, right? So now Microsoft made it really easy. So you see when I hover any of the charts, any of the data points that have a drill through capabilities, I'm seeing this note right under the values, right click to drill through, so that I know that I can actually right click and then drill through to any of the other tabs. This helps a lot so that you don't need to do a lot of work in terms of discoverability, right? So you can always know whether that's enabled or not. Now, as you can see here, even for the data points that are within a map, I always see that notification popping up right underneath the values, which is a great addition. Another thing that has been, I won't say updated, but has been publicly released, so it's now generally available, is the Power Apps control. So right now, you can easily add any Power Apps native application directly embedded within Power BI. So the control is now generally available. You have full support for it from Microsoft. So it's a really standard and extremely easy process to actually built in within your Power BI report Power App application, so that you can not only see the data but always take action and interact with the reports. And this is something that I showcased in the previous webinar. It's a matter of just adding the Power Apps control here that you see here on the right hand side where I'm hovering, and it will automatically load within Power BI. So you can now have embedded content from Power Apps directly here in Power BI, and it works seamlessly. Okay, so moving forward, the next thing I want to showcase is the Power Premium aspect of Power BI. I'm just gonna quickly pull in the presentation because I want to walk you again quickly through the concepts. For those of you who remember, I had a previous presentation on this 2 webinars ago. So in terms of the full landscape for Power BI, we're talking about the authoring part through Power BI Desktop, Power BI Service as a way to share and collaborate, Power BI Premium focused on large-scale deployments, and then Power BI Report Server and Power BI Embedded as an Azure service. So we're gonna tackle today a bit with Power BI Premium. So Power BI Premium is specifically used for large scale, greater scale and performance deployments. It has this flexibility to be licensed by capacity. It has extended on-premise capabilities. You can, as you can see, you can switch and have dedicated resources in the cloud and greater scale and performance, accessibility to embedded analytics. It comes with a cost, and that's always handled by Microsoft. You can get an offer. It's usually starts at around 4.9K. But it comes with a lot of features, and I'm going to quickly demonstrate one of them today. Just logging into powerbi.microsoft.com in an instance, and I'm going to pull in the browser on my main screen in just a second. Let me just quickly enter my password. So what we're looking at is a tenant that has Power BI Premium and dedicated capacity at a workspace level. And the way you're actually managing this, if you go to the admin portal, I'm just quickly gonna drop this here to enter the capacity settings, and I'm gonna quickly demonstrate how you can add dedicated capacity for any Power BI workspace. So in many cases where you have admin capabilities, so admin rights and privileges, if you navigate to workspaces and you click on create a workspace, in some cases you might have the rights when you're creating a workspace like test workspace. You might have this dedicated capacity switch enabled if you have the proper rights. In this case, I do not have the proper rights, or in this case I have. But in case you do not have the rights to add dedicated capacity to the workspace, you need to request it to the Power BI administrator, and it's actually quite straightforward. So under the admin portal and capacity settings for your tenant, you will be able to assign workspaces to a dedicated capacity. You can search to workspaces that have been created by any individual, right? Just clicking on it and then just click apply, and that dedicated capacity will be added to that specific workspace. It's actually that easy. Now moving forward to the main feature I want to showcase when it comes to Power BI Premium, and that is the machine learning models that are still in preview mode but are extremely powerful. And we're going to use automated machine learning today to create and apply a binary prediction model in Power BI. And we're going to do that using Power BI data flow and using a couple of entities defined in the data flow to train and validate a machine learning model directly in Power BI Premium. Now, training the model, uploading the data all takes some time. So I'm going to quickly walk you through the process. I'm going to skip a few steps because the machine learning model is already there, trained and uploaded. So working through the flow. After you create your workspace with dedicated capacity, the first thing you need to do is navigate to that workspace, as I am right now, and you need to go on create and you need to select a data flow. Now, after you selected the data flow, you're going to see a screen popping up, which will allow you to add new entities, right? And I'm just going to click on add new entities. And for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to use a CSV file. The CSV file contains, I'm just going to quickly open it with the Visual Studio Code just for the sake of it. So the Visual Studio Code will open up the CSV file that we're going to use. And you'll see it has data around online shoppers' intentions, right? A couple of historical data on visitors for the website and whether they bought or didn't bought any of our products. So I'm just going to select the text and CSV file. I'm just going to give it the file name and path, leave everything as it is, and then click next. And it's going to create a data flow for us. In this case, I already have it. It's the online shopper's intent. So it's as easy as creating this. The next step in the process after you create the data flow is apply a bit of transformation on it. Right, so clicking on the data flow will actually open up the entities list. So the entity that I selected previously when I tried to define a new entity, this is the online visitor. You'll have it here, and as soon as you go through the process and you select the CSV file and click on next, you will be prompted with the Power Query window. The Power Query window is the one that actually allows you to transform the data. It's similar to how Power BI desktop works, right? And the way Power BI desktop works, as you know, allows you to quickly transform the table, so promote header, transpose, reverse rows, manage and choose columns, reduce rows, add a new computed column, map to certain standards. So a bit of transformation as well as selecting the data types for your column, right? So in our case, there was a bit of transformation that I've done. I promoted the headers and I changed the column type, so not that complicated. After which I just saved this and closed, right? So the binary prediction model that we will train requires a Boolean field, right? So a false true field as a label identifying the outcomes from the past observations. And this particular data set, the one that we're going to use is the revenue field right near the end, right? This revenue attributes indicates purchases, and this attribute is already available as a Boolean within the data set that I uploaded. So we don't need to add a calculated column to select whether someone bought or didn't bought anything from our website. So it's a matter of just clicking save and close, and then the refresh will start. In this case, in our case, we already saved and closed and refreshed the data flow. Now, after the refresh is completed, you're gonna be able to access the machine learning capabilities for this specific entity, right? At first, I didn't see any of the 4 items here below. I just saw online visitor, and you see this brain here. It's apply machine learning model. I have already one defined, but I'm just gonna quickly walk you through the process of adding a machine learning model quickly, leveraging Power BI Premium. And now, a wizard starts. In this case, the first step is to identify the historical data, including the label field that we want to predict. So in the case of the data set we're using, this is the revenue field. So I'm just gonna click on select the revenue field, right? I'm just gonna go with next. I will be prompted to select the model afterwards. Now, Power BI analyzes the values in the historical outcome field that you've identified and suggests the type of machine learning models that can be created to predict that field. In this case, since we're predicting binary outcome or whether a user will make a purchase or not, we need to select the binary prediction. But you see that the regression and the forecasting one have been disabled because we cannot predict, you cannot perform any linear regressions or in forecasting based on the field that we selected. So binary prediction will be the one that we're going to select. In this case, we're going to try to predict the true value, and we can, for instance, the report label for the true outcomes. So we can lay it out, purchase. And the ones that have false, not purchase or didn't purchase, as you prefer. It's as easy as that. We're going to click on next. Now, what Power BI does, it preliminarily scans the data and suggests the inputs that the model could use. You have the option to customize it if you really know the data. But in our curated data set, we want to select all of the fields because we don't know exactly what are the ones that have the most impact on the outcome. So I'm just going to go next. We're going to give it a name, some descriptions. We can choose the maximum algorithm search time. The more it is, the more accurate it is, right? And then it's a matter of just saving and refreshing the model, and that's it. As soon as you perform this, you're going to see two different entities appearing because Power BI will basically truncate the data. It will create the model and prepare it for training, and it will break down the data in training and test data. And the training process will begin by sampling and normalizing your historical data, splitting it in the data set that I just mentioned, and depending on the size of it, the training can take from a couple of minutes to a couple of hours. But during this process, you won't be able to make any changes within the data flow itself. Once the training is complete, the data flow displays that the process has been finalized, and you will be able to check the outcome of this particular machine learning model. So switching here to the machine learning models that I just created, the purchase intent prediction, you can go inside and view the performance report and the accuracy for the model. Right, you can drill down, as you will see, the key influencers to view the top predictors for your model. You can select one of the predictors to see how the outcome distribution is associated with that predictor. So a lot of really important information. If you are familiar with some data science lingo and you're a bit aware of what AI actually means, machine learning actually means, you will have quite relevant data here within the model performance screen in order to identify the ones, the predictors that have the most impact on the outcome. Afterwards, it's just a matter of applying the model. So it's as easy as selecting the data flow and then applying the model. All of the data source will, in the end, refresh, right? And then afterwards, within the entities list, you're gonna actually see this particular table here that has a lightning bolt on it, the online visitors enriched purchase intent prediction, which will have 3 new columns. Actually, for the purchase intent, the outcome itself, right? The true or false value, whether that particular shopper will has likelihood of buying from us, right? And some details around the score from the prediction, the explanation behind it, and the index for the explanation. You can actually deep dive into the data and see how it looks like. You'll see in a couple of seconds that the data flow is refreshed, and you will be able to, let's see, continue here. You will be able to see the values. And what's the next step? It's quite straightforward. Within Power BI Desktop, you can use the native data flow connector to actually consume this table within any visual, right? So in the end, you will be able to plot the data that has been enriched with a prediction from the machine learning model in order to create any story behind it, to create the visuals in a grid view, in a chart, regardless of the type of visual you wanna add to your reports. We're just gonna give it a few more seconds, and you will notice that within the last few columns, we actually have the purchase intent prediction outcome. You remember that some of the values within the revenue field previously were null, so there weren't any values here. And now we have, false and true, and the explanations behind it. So we have a prediction whether that particular buyer will buy or not from us. So this is quite powerful. It's a wizard-like process. It's part of Power BI Premium, and it could help you leverage machine learning even without being a data scientist. Now moving forward through something I want to showcase. Actually, I want to walk you through, because what I showcase today when it comes to Power BI Premium and when it comes to the features of Power BI, they're a bit, in some cases, cumbersome. They're a bit complex. It's hard to know everything when it comes to Power BI Service, Premium, Embedded, and Desktop. And this is something that we run into with clients fairly regularly, is that they're trying to get a hang of Power BI. They feel it's a bit of a learning curve. They have a lot of other things on their plates, and they just want to easily understand how to make the most of their data engagement, data projects. So I just want to briefly mention one of our services. It's called Insight Snapshot. That determines in less than a week exactly where you will get the most return on investment from analytics and even data science. So if you have been asking yourself questions like, how do we actually have the right kind of data to meet our goals? Are we gonna use this data project in the right way? Or what specifically should we be analyzing? Then this is the perfect option for you. Basically, we tell you precisely where to focus your analytics effort to gain the fullest picture of your organization in the most effective way in order to meet your goals. You just give us the basic understanding of your project so far, an idea of what you like to know, whether this can be as simple as insights into profit margin, or is there something we're overlooking in our data, and we take over and then give you the answers quickly and affordably. As an example, we recently worked with a large US manufacturing company who wanted to understand specific ways around their stock management processes. They have been using Power BI for many months and discovered many useful information, but they needed to quickly and confidently identify trends, patterns, correlation in the data and quickly present it to the board. And in just a couple of days, we determined profit margins for items, calculated exceptions and financial variance, and recommended specific actions to improve stock management performance. Now, with a clear understanding of their big picture and a confident plan for the next steps, the company was able to deliver exactly what the board needed. And your own goals may include acquisition, expansion, or simply a fuller awareness of a particular business element. So you can confidently plan your actions, whether your objectives, whatever your objectives are. We combine our expertise in analytics with our deep industry knowledge to provide you with the answers that you need through our Insight Snapshot program. Sometimes it even turns out that analytics isn't the ideal solution for you, in which we suggest something else, like maybe modernizing a legacy application or building a data warehouse, whatever it will be to get you to meet your goals in the most effective way. In either way, in just a couple of days, you will know the optimal solution for moving your organization forward. And if you would like to know about this, feel free to reach out via email. You have my email from the campaigns for this webinar. And that's it from my side for today. Thank you so much for everyone that participated. I'm just gonna briefly stop here and for a couple of minutes to address any questions.